Dear students and faculty, welcome to my presentation today on Creative Learning of the Future, a 2025 presentation. Today I'd like to talk to you about a few items. Actually, I would like to talk to you about what an assessment designer is, community intelligence cartographer, an educator, a learning fitness instructor, and a learning journey mentor. First, I'd like to talk to you about what is an education designer, assessment designer. An education designer, assessment designer is a professional specialist who oversees the development and implementation of all inclusive educational assets. They are accountable for data, evolution, evaluation, research integrity, and project success. Some education assessment designers focus on K to 12 public schools, but others focus on higher education and corporate training. These programs cultivate the skills needed to improve the quality of a student's teacher and program assessment. Education assessment designers should be familiar with the public's the basic principles that promote the quality, evaluations, fairness, reliability, content, and validity and consequential relevance. Content validity refers to the accurate assessment measure that strictly follows their intended purpose. I'd like to show you a short video here of exactly what I'm talking about with this.
As an assessment designer, I develop approaches and tools to evaluate and communicate learner performance across different settings in a way that is transparent and easy to understand. The assessment design and consulting firm where I work helps many kinds of organizations create portfolios of assessment methods. I work mostly in the informal education group, while some of my colleagues focus on formal learning environments for young people, while others focus on the workplace and continuing education groups. Right now, I'm working with a few clients that organize state and national youth challenges, designing an assessment system that would allow them to show what skills participants are learning as they compete. We're refining a digital system that allows the participants to earn badges as they go along. I think our work has had a huge impact on learning, both for young learners and adult learners who want to change jobs or reignite their careers. We're refining transportable portfolios that describe and evaluate what people have learned in all kinds of learning settings in a way that people can easily understand, getting agreement on standards. And an open system for issuing, collecting, and displaying results was a big challenge a few years back. But everything works better now. Things are much more standardized, and we know which badges are legit. In order for badges to be displayed across contexts, like being displayed on a social network or a learning provider's site, they need to be developed using open source software. So that software and the open source software community are very important to us.
The next topic I'd like to talk to you today about is community intelligence cartographers. Basically, a cartographer makes maps. Maps can do several things. Basically, a community intelligence cartographer helps people navigate and explore, and they can also help people understand how things fit together in a territory. Early nautical maps charted land masses, native people, and bodies of water. Fast forward to today, where we map just about everything: trade, weather, cities, natural ecosystems, and the like. So, as a community intelligence cartographer, uh, one would make interactive digital maps of the resources, people, and relationships that contribute to the common learning. By this, it means sharing assets that create the potential to support dynamic learning everywhere. If you think of a region as a big learning ecosystem, then a map then map all the learning assets, where the learners can find them, and how they can take them take advantage of them, then create layers or views so that you can see the regions from different perspectives. You have a formal learning layer that includes basically things like school data, learning centers, and tutors. You also have an informal layer that shows up more of a bottom up learning resource like flabbing centers, libraries, museums, learning quest routines, or community sponsored service learning activities. Then you have a health layer that shows that regions by its health outcome, safety, walkability, food access, things like that. Then you would have the technological layer, which would consist of public Wi-Fi, broadband internet in homes, community teaching centers. So the community cartographer, intelligence cartographer, will basically tap into these intelligence in the local community, map them out, and leverage what social network strategies they can to develop and swarm basically students into a learning environment. Here is a short video on what a intelligence cartographer does.
Basically, cartographers make maps. As a community intelligence cartographer, I make interactive digital maps of the resources, people, and relationships that contribute to my community's learning commons. And by that, I mean its shared learning assets. If you think of the region as a big learning ecosystem, I map all the learning assets, where learners can find them, and how they can take advantage of them. So, the formal learning layer, the informal learning layer, the health layer, and so on. Seeing everything mapped out like that helps people support dynamic learning throughout the region by using what's there. It also helps us see what's missing or where we can improve. But the biggest impact we create is helping the region function as a learning ecosystem. We've become an important tool for community and regional leaders who make decisions about issues like healthcare, schools, social services, the environment. We help them realize how these decisions will affect learning. One of our biggest challenges is convincing local agencies and organizations to open their data and make it public. People are still protective about their data. We try to show them what they'll gain from letting their data become part of a big panoramic map of the regional learning ecosystem. Developments in social media, the latest round of augmented reality applications, and mobile technology are our most important tools. These technologies let us document the learning geography. They make it shareable and accessible to the communities and help reveal and expose what learning assets we actually have or don't have in our communities.
The next item on our list today is an eduvator. Basically, this is a combination of two words, educator or education and innovator. The modern student do their education, and they are the biggest innovators that we have today. The term brings entrepreneurship activities to the learning system, helping both individual learners provide and learn network incorporating incrementally and disruptive innovations for the purpose of improving learners' experiences and performance outcomes. The eduvator organizes teams of learning agents, learners, researchers, designers, and entrepreneurs to test new ideas, concepts, and technologies using rapid prototyping and design processes. They coach teams to act as nimble startup companies that iterate and launch solutions to improve the experience of learning agents, learners, and parents, while stimulating experimentation and distributed innovations in education and lower the risk of entrepreneurship activities by providing collective mentoring and peer support. I'd like to show you another short video here of that explains an eduvator a little more in depth.
I am an eduvator. That means that I organize and support innovation teams that develop new ideas, get them ready to launch, and hopefully bring them to scale. The teams use rapid prototyping and design processes to identify and implement both incremental and disruptive innovations that can help to improve learners' experiences and performance outcomes. They utilize learning agents, learners, researchers, designers, local businessmen, and the like. I help to lower the risk of such entrepreneurial activity by providing collaborative mentoring and peer support throughout the process. I also connect these local efforts with similar projects from around the world. I think the biggest impact that our Eduvator community and our local network have on learning is that we operate as a innovation cluster, and we are very open about what our innovators do. By being so open, we've helped create a culture that understands beta building and failure. And we've learned from others as we found smart ways to experiment and work through the innovation process together. One of the challenges that we still find, although it is getting better now, is the relatively low amount of investment money for innovation and startups in education. One of the most positive outcomes in work like mine is the launcheduvation.org site. It's a peer mentoring and management site that provides startups in education with expert advice. It's almost like a virtual board of advisors. One of the most important tools in my work is failure. It's an opportunity to learn. It may sound cliche, but really is true. It's also the hardest thing for long-term learning agents to get used to.
The next step in our process is the learning fitness instructor. Basically, a learning fitness instructor works with learners, families, and educators to build and strengthen learners' cognitive, emotional, and social capacities in support of learning. They use stimulation, biofeedback, mindfulness techniques, software-based games, and hands-on activities to help learners by reducing stress and develop their cognitive muscles. The learning fitness instructor conducts formal learning fitness inventories at regular intervals to assess change in learners' cognitive readiness. They work in a diverse learning setting, including schools, home-based learning programs, community learning centers, and public youth programs, offering individuals and group training sessions and prescribed learning fitness plans. Here's a short video on learning fitness instructors.
I'm a learning fitness instructor. That means that I work with learners, families, and learning agents to build and strengthen learners' cognitive, emotional, and social capacities. Now, when I walk into a learning environment or workshop, I tell the students, I'm Coach Rollins, and I'm here to get your brains in shape. For their learning experiences doesn't mean that they're fully prepared to learn. If you're really committed to being the best learner you can be or developing the best learners possible, you better pay attention to conditioning the brain and the body. There are some big challenges around equity and how we judge performance when some kids have access to learning fitness instruction and others don't. But as for the rewards, it's amazing how kids' behavior changes once they're aware of how they can support greater levels of performance just by doing simple brain exercises. I use some biofeedback tools and software games that can show kids the difference in their performance when they become more skilled at focusing, suppressing distraction, and regulating their emotions. Also, there's some great mobile apps that the kids can do on the bus or at home. They're so much fun, and they're great for training kids on focus, attention, and creativity.
This leads us to our final, the Learning Journey Mentor. Basically, a learning journal mentor forms the backbone of the learning system by guiding kids in work through their learning experiences. They work with learners' personal education plans by helping them frame questions and design learning strategies in collaboration with other learners who share similar interests. Learning journey mentors help learners connect with people, resources, and activities that can propel them along their chosen learning pathway. Also, they model what it means to think like a practitioner of discipline while working directly and remotely with learners to help them curate their digital learning life logs and use them for reflecting on their learning journey and their personal development. Here's a short video also on a learning journey mentor.
Well, I'm a learning journey mentor. In the past, I would have called myself a teacher, but not now. It's kind of different. I feel like I guide the kids in learning through their learning experience. Really, I learn right along with them. They teach me. I focus on the STEM area. And that is just a set of concepts that span the STEM domain of different learners up to age about 13 or so. Just take, for instance, like climate change. It's a big concept. So I would relate that concept to bigger questions that really matter to people in the learning community. How maybe technology can help mitigate climate change. And then as we pursue those questions, we just kind of get all together and we really explore those answers. I just guide them through that, not really teach them through that. And so maybe like I would connect them with the people and the resources and just all the specific activities that they really need in order to get those answers. Maybe an activity could be taking them to a part of the city where the air quality is really spiked, and just to help them really better understand just the impacts of different green technologies. My work impacts the rest of the learning system by turning out just genuinely inquisitive and just really motivated learners. So if they leave my group asking more questions than they did when they first came in, or better yet, even better questions, then I feel like I've truly been successful. The biggest challenge is probably letting go of control and knowing exactly what's going to happen on a particular topic. When I was a teacher in like the old system, it was like, it's the week of March 7th and that's chemical bonding week. Let's pull out the pipe cleaners and make some molecules. But it's just not that way anymore. Now, chemical bonding works its way in to whatever we're learning as we pursue our inquiry. I rely a lot on open educational resources, or resources that someone else created and then they're shared with others free of charge for my work. There are a few key platforms that provide quality materials for teaching and learning. The difficult part is kind of assessing which ones are of high quality and then which ones are suspect. But there's a team of STEM learning journey mentors that meet up online every couple of months. And we look at the different resources that have been good for each other, and we just discuss the different learning pathways. It is so interesting to me to see what makes the learning pathways similar and then what kind of makes them go a different route.
Before we get into the resources, I'd like to thank the knowledgeworks.org Learning in 2025 website. They gave some great insight to this and some publications in it for the world of learning that helped me guide this presentation. These videos are available on YouTube. Like I said, they were borrowed from there. The names are listed here above. If you have any questions or anything, please comment in the YouTube video comments below, and I will try to answer them. And again, we've covered the assessment designer, community intelligence cartographer, the educator, learning fitness instructor, and learning journey mentor today. Thank you for your time. I hope this has been an video, and hopefully you'll leave me some good comments here. Thank you very much.